Now to the serious stuff, because residents from across the eastern counties have been protesting today for the government to pay to remove dangerous cladding from their buildings. They call themselves the Gladiators. Well, so far the government has offered $5 billion. But if you look at some of the estimations, the work might well cost $15 billion. Well, and put yourself in the shoes of these people. A number of these properties are now valued at zero. And on top of that, residents are paying hundreds of pounds a month for fire wardens. Well, we'll speak to somebody who's protesting in Ipswich very soon, but this was a lady that I spoke to today in Stevenage. Just going to read a few of these placards. End the cladding scandal. Lives are at risk. Make those responsible pay, not the victims. Building scandal ruins lives. My flat may ruin my life. Enough is enough. And one more there that says our building never met regulations. Developers should pay. Well, Karen, you're here in Stevenage in Hertfordshire today, but you're here on behalf of your daughter who lives in London, correct?
She lives in a flat in Islington in a block.
And how much is she paying every month for a waking watch?
Well, that is a very good question. Initially, it was £1,500 per month. But
£1,500 per month?
For every flat in the block. So we're talking 84 flats in her block. But it's owned by a housing association, and now because other blocks have been impacted, they've looked at the external walls and found that there are fire breaks missing, the walkways are are combustible, that there are many problems with this block of flats. And but because there are now many more flats involved, that charge has come down probably to £600 or £700 per month.
That's on top of her mortgage?
That is on top of her mortgage. It's outrageous. I mean, I am so angry about it. It is ruining their lives.
So you're here today. Where's your daughter?
My daughter is at home. She doesn't know I'm here because, she would have said, I'll come, Mum, I'll come. But she is 22 weeks pregnant and she's still suffering a fair bit of sickness. So, this would not be an ideal place for her to be.
And you're saying that it's destroying her life. By the sounds of it, it's destroying your life as well as a caring, loving mother.
It is, because you bring them into this world and you tell them do well at school, get a good job, and that's precisely what she's done. And for 10 years, she worked her butt off in a profession, and it's all gone into the flat. And, to be told that flat is worth nothing, that you can't sell it, you can't remortgage, and you can't move on with your life, it's just devastating, really devastating. Sorry, I'm getting choked up here. I mean, it's just, and you think, and they've done nothing wrong. They've done everything right. They've done what the government wanted them to do. They're paying their way. They're paying taxes. Yeah, So I feel, have I failed her in some way that she's now in this awful position? You haven't failed her.
You haven't.
Thank you.
Because when she moved into that property that she worked so hard for, she would have had the professional checks done on that building, and when she did, it would have been deemed safe.
We have a folder full of regulations signed off, NHBC certificate. It's a nightmare, not of their making.
See, it's just so sad. And I think a lot of people have got absolutely no idea that people and their family are living their lives in this way, quite simply not knowing what's going to happen next.
Absolutely. And my daughter and her husband are both working from home, so there is absolutely no escape. They're 24/7 in this flat. When they go to bed at night, they think, are we going to be cremated tonight? I mean, it's a horrible, horrible situation to be in.
We do a lot of really silly things on this show, but how can you not be moved by that? Well, joining me now is Chloe Waite. She was at the Ipswich protest today, and she coordinated a number of the nationwide protests today as well. Chloe, good evening.
Hi, Justin. How are you?
Very well. I mean, listening to that, first of all, what's your reaction to what you've just heard there, Chloe?
Oh, listening to that woman talk, man, I felt really choked up myself, to be honest. What her daughter's going through is awful. But the thing is, I mean, she's just not alone. There's thousands, tens of thousands if not more, people going through exactly the same thing. We reckon there's 1.5 million flats affected. That's what the Times reported today.
1.5 million people affected by this, living their lives in limbo. You organised today's nationwide protest and thousands of people turned out for this. You must be incredibly happy and proud about that.
I'm really pleased to see people standing up and fighting this, because it's so clearly unjust. Anyone you speak to says it's not right that leaseholders are footing the bill for this. You know, we bought our flats in good faith, that they would be safe.
So the government has offered £5 billion to fix this, but there are estimations that this could cost up to £15 billion. How is this going to end and end well, Chloe?
Well, my view is, and our argument is that developers have got to pay. They've got to pay. They built houses that are death traps. You know, they've put flammable materials upon flammable materials, and now they're trying to say that they don't have any legal obligation to fix it. Well, if that's the case, then the law needs to change, and it will change. We're going to fight this. You know, we say that the developers must pay in the same way that a polluter pays, and we're gonna really fight for this
because
on the ground and in the court.
Listeners are probably thinking, well, surely they must have known that this problem was there. But every single person that I spoke to today had surveys done, and when that survey was done, it was passed as fit for somebody to live in. These people have done absolutely nothing wrong, have they?
Well, yeah, exactly. No, we haven't done anything wrong. The only thing we've done wrong is trusted in the system and trusted the people that sold our flats to us. That was our mistake. And the frightening thing is, it's still legal to build buildings with flammable materials of under 18 metres. There's materials still going on. People are still getting pulled into the same trap that we've ourselves walked into. And people need to know that people need to be really careful about buying new build flats at the moment.
Well, this is why we're talking about it this evening on the programme, because as far as I'm concerned, this was the first time this week I'd heard this story mentioned to me. With your protest now, a lot more people are finding out about this. Just lastly, you say this is the start, so more protests are planned then, yeah?
Absolutely. We've got a rally happening in London on the 15th of July. So everyone's going to come down for that. We're fundraising to pay coaches for people that can't afford them to come from all across the UK down to London and protest outside of Parliament. But we're going to be doing more of these sales office protests as well, because we think it's really important, you know, communicate to developers in a language they understand, which is money. So if it's closing down the sales offices that it takes to get the government to listen to us, to get developers to listen to us, that's what we'll do.
Obviously, I can't sit here and condone something like that, but clearly there are a lot of people out there who are very, very angry about what's going on, and we will keep on top of this story, and we will keep speaking to people about what's going on in their lives. Chloe, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us live on the show.
Thank you, Justin.
There you go. Chloe Waite, who was at the Ipswich protest today. She coordinated a number of the nationwide protests today. I mean, as I say, we do a lot of silly things on the show. We'll be doing more of those very, very soon. But listening to that lady today that I spoke to, her daughter is 22 weeks pregnant. She worked and worked and worked to get that deposit to buy a property for a lot of money. She's now sat there with her partner with a property that is valued at zero.